we're obviously looking at the exam papers, so May-June 2016 is the focus. I'm going to treat this like an exam. Okay, so if I was writing this paper, right, this is what I would be doing. This is what I'm thinking about. This is everything in terms of approach, in terms of how are we actually going to create an answer for this particular paper. Right, so that's important. We need to understand what is being asked in the question in order to generate the solution. So you'll see I always focus on required. Required is key. And when getting the past paper, so this is the exam that you would be given. Let's say you're sitting in the exam venue. This is what I've got in front of me. What am I going to do first? I'm going to scroll and I'm going to look at the proposed timetable. And I'm going to be looking for this, analysis of financial statements. Why? It's because I've studied the equations the night before or the week before, and going into the exam, I'm fresh, my memory's still good, I haven't been thinking about all the debits and credits and journals and all of that. So starting off fresh, as you get the exam, scan the paper, look for this, analysis of financial statements. As soon as you see that, and this was a lot, 24 marks. That's 24% just for knowing a few equations. It's going to take you 29 minutes, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to write down formulas. Whether you do this question first or not, it's totally up to you. No one says you have to start with question 1. But I would be starting with the easiest section, okay, the section that you feel most comfortable with. Start it, get it finished, and that also builds confidence, and it also makes up time in the exam as well. Right, so that's what I'm going to be doing for the analysis of financial statements. Because I know I've studied the equations, I know it's an easy section to complete. Okay, so we're going to use this, our summary. This is what you need to study. We've mentioned how important this is. Page 263 in your study guide, you need to go and learn all of these different equations. Okay, so question 4 is the first one that I'm going to be looking at. Okay, then I would go to my answer sheet. I would write down question 4, big heading, and then I'm going to start by writing down all the equations. What does question 4 ask me for? Well, let's go and have a look. There's it. 24 marks, 29 minutes. It's on page 6 of your exam paper. You've been given an abbreviated statement of profit and loss. You've also been given a statement of financial position for Duncan traders. You've got some additional info at the bottom here, and then you've been given a list of different ratios that you are requiring. Right, and then literally, this would be my exam technique. I would look at the paper, see question 4, trade receivables collection period, and I would literally write down the formula. Inventory holding period, write down the formula. Asset test ratio, write down the formula. That, write down the formula on the actual question paper. So I've got it. Whether you do this question or not, it's up to you. Okay, you can always come back to it later. At least you've got the formulae, and you get full marks for it. Right, so I'm not going to come back to it. I'm going to do the question because we're discussing it. So let's complete question 4, and then we'll go back and look at the proposed timetable again. We know how important ratios are because they help you with analysis. In terms of the notes, they say, all formulas and calculations must be shown. So you're probably going to get a mark just for knowing the equations. Right, so there's nothing wrong with studying the equations because it's going to help you get good marks because they're going to require workings. This is important, the rounding. 2 decimal places after the comma. First one, trade receivables collection period. So I go to my memory bank. Okay, I won't have this in the exam. I'm just using it as revision so you guys can see where to get the equations, and I'll be using this one. Okay, so this is what you would write down on your script from your memory in the actual exam, and you'll probably get a mark for doing it. This was A. Okay, then in my exam, I'm going to leave space. Leave 5, 10 lines or so. Remember, you can always ask for more paper. Right, set out your answers nice and neat, so it's also easy for them to mark. There's nothing wrong with asking for more paper in the exam and giving 2 or 3 booklets, as long as your workings are neat. Okay, I remember when I was studying at campus, when we wrote exams, I literally asked for a book for every question. Okay, because obviously, you know, accounting, the questions get quite long. Right, so one question had like a statement of financial position, statement of change in equity, and statement of financial position. Okay, it had like all 3 in one question. Right, so I did all 3 questions for question 1 in one booklet. Okay, so you submit one booklet with question 1. Then you submit another booklet, question 2. But I don't know if UNISA would be willing to do that for you. I'm sure they wouldn't mind. I mean, if you ask for more booklets, there's nothing stopping them from giving you more paper. Okay, so it's totally up to you how you want to structure your answer. Right, but give yourself space. So I would write down the equation, give myself space, write down B. B is inventory holding period. So again, go to your memory. Okay, inventory holding period, that's the formula that you require. From memory, you would write it down in the exam paper, and I've got another equation. Right, then again, skip lines, write down C. Go back to the question paper, see it's the asset test ratio. Asset test is simple, we don't even need the book. Asset test, okay, is your current assets taking out the inventory divided by your current liabilities. Yeah, straightforward, it's simple, it's easy. Current liabilities. Right, there's my asset test. Okay, obviously if you wanted to, you could actually write it down in this format. Okay, where's it? There's it, yes. Okay, like that. Numerator over denominator, doesn't matter. Okay, so as I said, it's a simple equation, very easy to remember. That's what you would have to write down. Okay, going back to the exam, D. Trade payable settlement period. So from memory, they want me to remember what this equation is. Okay, and remember, keep it simple. Settlement, who do you pay? You pay your creditors. So you've got your average trade creditors over your credit purchases, because that's the nature of the relationship. I buy from my creditors. I sell to my debtors. Okay, so you can see here's the credit purchases because you buy from them. And here, for the trade receivables collection, it's the credit sales because you receive from them. Okay, you sell to them. Right, so just use things like that to help you remember what these things are. Okay, what do they want in D? Oh, okay, the settlement period. I just need to paste the equation. There's it. Right, so now we've got D, leave space, do E. Go back to the question paper. E want the interest cover. So, what do they want? They want that. Profit before interest and tax over the finance costs. Write down my equation, and then they want one more ratio, F. Go back to the question paper. F wants the profit margin. Profit margin is as follows. Profit before tax over sales times 100. There's it there. Okay. Right, so now, as I said, depending on how you're approaching your exam, you can now go and do all the other questions, 1, 2, 3, 5, and then come back and do this if you want to. Or if you want to just complete the question. Right, I'm going to complete the question, just so we don't jump around too much. Question 4, go back to the information, and now read it. Now, I don't even have to look at this, the required, because I already know what I'm required to do, because I've written all the formulas down. Right, so I'm going to be looking at this, my answer sheet, and my question papers information. Okay, so the first one, trade receivables collection period, requires average trade receivables and credit sales. That's what I'm looking for. So I know average requires opening and closing balances. Okay, that you need to know. Average trade creditors, debtors, equals brackets start plus end, close brackets, divide by 2. Okay, so now I go to my question and I look for the start and the end. I'm going to be looking at trade receivables. There's my trade receivables. There's the one amount that I need. There's the end balance. I need the opening balance. 1st of March is the opening balance because I'm looking at 28 Feb 2015. So here's my opening balance for my trade receivables. Right, 137. So those are the two figures that I'm going to be needing for the average trade receivables. Everyone okay with that? Okay. So opening and closing balance. Opening balance 137 plus closing balance 197. Okay, and everything that I'm doing here on the board, you would be doing in the exam as well. Okay, why? They said show all workings. Right, so if you make a mistake with the calculator and you insert those amounts incorrectly and you get a wrong final answer, at least they'll probably still mark your working. Right, so always show workings because you never know what they're going to mark. We don't have their memo, so we don't know where they actually allocate marks. So put everything. Okay, I've put everything. There's my average. So now I know what the numerator is. I just need the denominator. So credit sales. I need the question to tell me about the credit sales. There's the point. Point number 1 says credit sales represent 65% of total sales. Where do I find my total sales? Well, in the statement of profit and loss. So I go to the statement of profit and loss. There's my total sales. Revenue is another word for sales. 780,000. So 780,000 times 65% is going to give me the credit sales. Is that okay? Easy, right? Not too bad. Let's make it bigger so you guys can see that. Okay. So now I can work out the trade receivables collection period. I'm just going to abbreviate. Don't abbreviate in your exam. I'm just doing it now just to save some time. TRCP, okay, equals average trade receivables, which is 167, divide by credit sales, which is 507, 123, times 365 equals an answer. Okay, I grab my calculator, I plug that into my calculator, and the calculator gives me an answer of 120 days. What did they say? Round off to the nearest 2 decimal places. Okay, so I would round that off to 20,23 days. Okay, remember you can actually get a portion of the day. So the fraction would be 0,23 is almost a quarter of the day. So it would take you 120 days and a quarter of another day, right, in order to collect your outstanding receivables based on your average trade debtors. Okay, there's the first bit. What did B want? B wanted average inventory. So we need to write down average inventory, which we now know is start plus end divided by 2. Let's go look for my average inventory. Okay, inventory, depending on what system they've given you periodic here. Why? Because they've shown a separate calculation for cost of sales. Right, we've covered the theory before, so just to revise, when I see opening stock, purchases, and closing stock, I know they're using the periodic inventory management system. With the periodic system, the business is going to use opening stock, which is beginning of the year, and closing stock, which is end of the year. So those are the 2 figures I'm going to be using to work out my average inventory. Right, 161,500, 161, numlock. Sorry, let's do that again. 151. What is it? Oh, 161. Okay, just make sure you read the figures off correctly as you make silly mistakes. Let's double check. 161,500. 161,500 plus the other amount was 230,000. 230 close brackets divide by 2 equals equals 195,75. And there's my average inventory. Right, then you need to find cost of sales. Cost of sales is given in the question. There's cost of sales. Okay, so can I substitute everything in? Yes. Let's put it in. Inventory holding period equals average inventory 195,750 divided by cost of sales, which was 301,500. 301,500 times 365 equals an answer. 263 days. Okay, round off to the nearest 2 decimal places, so 236,98 days would be my final answer for the inventory holding period. Next, asset test. Asset test is easy because I just need current assets and liabilities. Right, so asset test equals, open brackets, go get your current assets. I know current assets will be part of the statement of financial position because financial position looks at assets and liabilities to determine what position you're in. Okay, good or bad. If assets are bigger than liabilities, that's good. There's my current assets, 518. Minus, where's my inventory? There's my inventory, 230. 230. Close brackets, divide by current liabilities. Look for current liabilities. There's it there. 251, 500. 251, 500 equals an answer. Okay, so the asset test ratio would be 1,14513 to 1. So if you had to round off, 1,15 to 1. That would be your asset test ratio. Okay, that means numerator divided by denominator. I've got 1,15 current assets minus inventory to my current liabilities. So just to revise, this company is liquid. Right, they have sufficient assets even if we take out the inventory to cover their current liabilities. That's what we're saying. Okay, we're saying that, well, I don't have to sell any of my trading stock. Okay, I can keep my inventory in the warehouse. We don't have to sell it. And with our other current assets, we'll have more than enough to cover our current liabilities. Makes sense? Okay, just to revise as we go as well. Right, trade payable settlement period. Average trade payables over credit purchases. So TPSP, just to abbreviate, just to instead of having to write all of it again. Okay, we need averages first, so I actually need to move this down. Average trade payables. Start plus end divide by 2. Let's look at our information. Okay, so there's my trade payables, and here's my opening balance, creditors control. Right, so those are the two figures you're going to need for this question. Right, creditors control 1st of March. So 156,600. 156,600 plus 251,500. 251,500. Close brackets, divide by 2 equals an answer. Grab the calculator, solve, I get 204,050. Credit purchases, do they give me information about that? Yes, they do. They tell you that credit purchases represent 45% of your total purchases. So my purchases are here. It's part of the periodic system. So that's my purchases. 370,000. So credit purchases equal, what is it, 370? Yes, 370 times 45%. Take that, type that into your calculator, let the calculator give you an answer. 16650. Okay. Now, plug that into your equation. Average trade payables was 204,050. Okay, divide by credit purchases was 166,500, close brackets, times 365 gives you an answer. Right, days. Again, round off to the nearest 2 decimal place, so 447,32 days. That's what I would record. Okay, because I'm looking at number of days that I'm going to be paying my creditors. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, average trade settlement period or payment period is looking at how long does it take you on average to pay your suppliers. Right, interest cover, profit before interest tax over finance costs. Where do I see the profit? In the statement of profit and loss. So I'm going to be looking at this. What am I looking for? Profit before interest and tax. Okay, so this is profit before tax. There's the finance costs. Okay, so I need to do a slight working to get the total before it. Okay, there's profit before tax. but I want before interest and tax. So I need to add back the interest. Right, so profit before interest. Let me write down before tax. Before tax. Or let's write the whole thing. Interest and tax. Okay, then you would less the interest. I'm going to do it this way so you can see what I mean. And then profit before tax. Okay, and then the tax. And then so on. Okay, so profit before interest and tax is what I'm looking for. That's what I require. Profit before tax is given in the question. Okay, so what is the profit before tax? There's it. Profit before tax, 134,300. 134,300. 134,300. 134,300. Perfect. Then you've got finance costs, interest, which is 2,700. 2,700. Obviously, you would subtract the interest. So if I want the profit before interest and tax, I need to add it back. Okay, so this figure will be the profit before tax plus the 2,700 gives me that amount. Right, now I know what that figure is. I'm going to be taking that and I'm going to be substituting that into my profit before interest and tax. Okay, so interest cover. Interest cover equals 137,000 divided by interest 2,700 equals. Okay, so how many times have I covered my interest? I've covered my interest 50,74 times, or if we round off, 50,74. Right, times. Rounding off to 2 decimal places. And there's the answer for E. Right, so all you had to do was calculate this. Profit before interest and tax. The question gave you profit before tax, not profit before interest and tax. So we had to take those two amounts and we had to work out the profit before interest and tax. Okay, so there's my profit before interest and tax. If I less the interest, I'm going to get the profit before tax. And then you'd carry on to get the profit for the year.
So
you have to add those two amounts to get this amount, yes.
And if it was the other way around?
Then you would subtract, if it was the other way around. Okay. Make sense? Great. F, last one, profit before tax over sales. Okay, profit before tax. There's my profit before tax. Okay, there's my sales. Okay, you can't get easier than ratios. Right, you guys should be wishing for ratios in the exam because it's so easy. Okay, the only thing that you're actually going to need is just a bit of formulas. You just need to study. Okay, then you get full marks. There's no debits and credits here. It's literally, can you just read the correct information? Can you interpret the information correctly? Right, so what I've highlighted there is what I'm going to need. 134,300. 134,300 divided by sales of 780 times 100 gives me a percentage. 17.2%. Well, let's round off. 17.22%. And that's it. That's the end of question 4. How much was question 4 out of? 24 marks. It was supposed to take us 29 minutes. How long did it take us to do? Took us 24 minutes, and that's even with explanation. Okay? We've got another 5 minutes now that we can spend on another question. Happy with question 4? That's how you approach it. That's what you need to do. That's exam technique.